Namaskar. I am Jui Mande, currently pursuing my MA in Sanskrit. Today I am here to give my interpretation on selected verses from the 5th chapter of Bhagvad Geeta, Karma Sannyasa Yoga. On the battlefield, Krishna explains two paths of attaining liberation to Arjun. The first path is of performance of actions and the second is of renouncing the actions. Arjun asks, which of the two is better in attaining liberation? Krishna answers, Tayostu karma sannyasat karma yogo vishishyate. Out of the two, the path of performance of actions is better in attaining liberation. Sannyasastu mahabaho dukkhamaptuma yogatah yogayukto munir brahma na chirenadhigacchati. A person who is following the path of performance of actions finds it easier to attain liberation. An important point to consider here is that the target audience of Bhagvad Geeta is not limited to sages or scholars, but it extends to the common people. Arjun represents all those who are bound by the chains of merit and demerit, right and wrong, life and death. Hence, it is not easy for a person engaged in a life full of action, full of karma, to renounce them all of a sudden. Instead, Krishna advises them to continue living the life surrounded by actions, but stay away from expecting the fruits of their actions. A person performing actions who has surrendered himself to the Lord attains the purity of his mind. The question that arises here is that every action creates bondages. A good action will give merit and a bad action will give demerit. Then how can one attain liberation from the cycle of birth and death with these bondages? Krishna answers with the following verse. Yoga yukto vishuddhatma vijitatma jitendriyah sarvabhutatma bhutatma kurvannapi na lipyate. 5.7. A person devoted to the path of performance of actions who does not focus his mind on the results of actions and devotes it to Lord, who has control over his senses and hence has conquered his mind and body, is not affected by the ties of his actions. What is meant by the word Jitendriya? Our sense organs have a tendency to distract us, be it a favorite song playing on the speaker or the aroma of freshly made gulab jamuns. We can no longer focus on the task at hand. A Jitendriya, however, is the one who has control over his sense organs, hence his mind and hence his body. This verse gives a significant lesson to Arjun. As a warrior standing on the battlefield against his own relatives, Arjun is naturally inclined to withdraw from this action of demerit. However, by means of this verse, Krishna instills confidence in him. Arjun's actions will no longer result into demerit if he focuses his mind on his Lord, his Krishna. The fruits of his deeds will go to Krishna. Brahmanyadhaya karmani sangam tyaktva karoti yah lipyate na sapapena padmapatram ivambhasa. 5.10. He who performs his actions by resigning from attachments remains untouched by sins. He is like a lotus. The lotus, though growing in the water, the flower itself is untouched by it. Similarly, the person engaged in actions is untouched by his sins. Kayena manasa buddhya kevalairindriyairapi yoginah karma kuruvanti sangam tyaktvatma shuddhaye. 5.11. The person performs actions by body, mind, intellect and senses. This causes purification of mind as the mind is no longer chasing behind the fruits of his actions. It is focused on Lord. Only body is performing actions. Another question comes to my mind. How can the same action bring peace to one and bondage to other? Krishna answers, Yuktah karma phalam tyaktva shantimapnoti naishthikam ayuktah kamakarena phale sakta nibadhyate. 5.12. The person performing his actions without looking for fruits of it has peace to him, whereas the man who is led by desires remains attached to fruits of his actions and is hence bound by them. I will explain this with an example. A person giving donations to the poor for the sake of gaining merits for himself indeed has an impure mind. He is not doing so for the welfare of the poor, but has interests of himself. This will keep him bounded to his actions. If he refocuses his mind from the expectation of merit to the Lord, his mind will become pure. Here, I end my interpretation of the 5 verses from 5th chapter of Bhagvad Geeta. Thank you.